WCW. I'm back. This WCW is personal because I've been struggling lately and with some things in business. That's why we're here as an entrepreneur, and I'm not used to showing my vulnerabilities. And now, as it being Mental Health Month, and Kyrsten being here with me today, and she's a therapist, and I thought it was important for me to like kind of start to look into why am I struggling with some of these things and how they're really affecting me. Whereas before I was able to shake it off and just keep going. It's always about achieving, and I'm telling myself these speeches in my head over and over again, like keep going, you got to get to it, whatever the hell it is. Every month it's a different thing that motivates me to like keep going from the time I was very young and trying to achieve certain things that were beyond me, how I was looking at it at the time. And so now that I'm manifesting this life and these things, and I'm affecting other people's lives, and I'm in this space, and then now as I'm going through these challenges that I never thought would even be a thing, now I'm and they're affecting me, and then I'm taking it home, and then I'm like my relationships, my own personal motivation, or my own personal security is now being questioned by me. Because, for the most part, I'm suffering in silence, of course, because that's what we do at my age, So now I got you here.
Yeah.
To help me through. And then also to just be completely transparent and just, like, honest about what's been going on. And I'm struggling, and it's not all good. And, we're painting this picture. I'm painting this picture like it's so easy, or I may make it look easy, but it's not. It's constant. It's a constant balance of who I want to be versus who I am versus the box that other people are putting me in, and then the circumstances that are changing constantly that I can't control. And that's the biggest thing I think that the biggest takeaway for me in all this is like stop focusing on things that I can't control.
Oh yeah, radical acceptance.
Is that what we call that?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the balance of change, what wanting things to be different, but accepting what is just not going to change or what may never change. And so I think that's exactly like what you're working toward. It sounds like is being able to accept those things and just operate with what's in your locus of control.
It's liberating. It has caused me and this is all new, because I've always been like trying to affect every single outcome. Lose sleep over it, down to other people's movements, So I've always been on like, how do I move? How do I give this person something so that they will move in this way that is going to work for overall? Because at the end of the day, it's always about like, I'm trying to make this for everybody, whatever you think your reason is. And I think that's what affects you the most, because you're like, I'm not trying to hurt, or I'm not trying to, manipulate per se. But I guess it could be like manipulating. If you're trying to affect change, maybe, or affect the outcome. I don't know. But whatever it is, it ain't been working.
Yeah.
So that's what I figured out. It's causing me to stress, and it's causing me to feel uncertain. And it's that level of uncertainty for all entrepreneurs. That's always a thing, because you never know. I saw a quote that said, as an entrepreneur, you'll jump off a cliff and build the plane as you're going down, and that's basically it in a nutshell.
Okay.
Just jump, and and that's basically it.
Yeah.
And then you figure it out. You come with solutions, and you figure it out, especially when there are other people involved and other things involved, and there always is. So trying to balance that with my family. I have a daughter, and just trying to continue to be myself.
Yeah.
And not lose myself, or go into a place where I don't recognize myself behind trying to be a high achiever.
Yeah.
And not feeling like anyone understands that. Because though we're working together and I have so many resources and so many people that are working with me, it's still your own journey.
Absolutely. I think there's so much strength in that uncertainty and like challenging yourself and exploring yourself, because really, how do you level up? How do you get better if you're not saying, okay, what's not working? And although it may be difficult to kind of reconcile what is not working, what you're seeing is impacting, maybe negatively impacting some of your relationships or some of your feelings about yourself or your business, that challenge of, okay, this is not working, or man, why do I keep having the same pattern, or why am I holding everything in? That exploration is what really breaks you through to the next level. So I don't look at it as like a negative thing when we're struggling with that, because that's like the breakthrough, I think.
So me just saying, accepting, number one, that I'm struggling. That's the breakthrough one.
Yeah.
I feel like that. Even doing this and saying that I'm struggling, not just for you, like we would do this on the couch, like they say.
Absolutely.
But just saying it openly that I've been struggling with trying to balance. And I will say, what has helped me not to like really for real fall all the way to fuck apart has been a few months back, I started this journey of personal development. And it was really intense. It was this 90-day program that I did, and I was in this frame of mind again with this high level of I have to achieve. Even that was about that. However, it did help me because, at the end of the day, success in business as an entrepreneur, you are your business, you are your brand, and, what you put out is a reflection of how you feel about yourself and what you attract. And at that time, I was in a dark space for a second, with some of the things I was going through. And then so I went through this 90 days, and during that 90 days, it did prepare me for like what was to come next, right? I fell off the 90-day program, which I think, is something important for all of us to always have these 90-day goals. That was very intense. I cut off everything fun or anything that felt, that entertainment, drinking, like dating, anything, like that. But I found myself being like a blank slate, creatively. I brought other people into it. We all kind of did it together, as artists. We went into the artist way. It was a great space to be in. So we did that. And then like toward the end of the 90 days, then, we all caught COVID. And then, of course, everything just took on a life of its own right from there. However, if I hadn't gone through those 90 days and then to go through COVID, where everyone in the workspace had COVID and we could no longer work, our busiest time of year, I probably would not have survived through that, because it was like, it was more devastating than the beginning of COVID, even because we didn't have it. We were still trying to figure it out. It was a little scary, but this was actually a real situation happening in real time. And then a lot of things happened from that, and a lot of things that I went through personally because of that. So if I hadn't had my personal development in place, even at all, so
you wouldn't have had the tools.
I wouldn't have had the tools to even prepare me for that. So of course, I got to get back in that space. But even with that, it's still like, because I wasn't specifically addressing what, even all these years of like going on this grind, this hard, everything is always like about, it's got to be hard work in order for you to get it, or it's not worth it if it's not hard. If it's not worth it, if you don't sacrifice, you got to give up something. Always giving up something, right, to get something. And I've gained a lot, but I've given up so much.
Yeah.
So then you're like, how much of yourself have you given, to this space? And where are you? And then that's when you start to question. And then now again, coming back into now, this place of uncertainty. Now I'm going through something else that's new. It's always going to be some new shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I understand. And I thought I understood. But now I'm really like, this shit is like,
tough.
It's affecting me from not doing what I've been doing, because I could do that on autopilot. What I've been doing, I can always do. Like it doesn't matter what's going on. For me to do new things, for me to be new, for me to creatively be new, for me to now create new businesses and then stretch out beyond my comfort zone, which is all a part of growth. And I want to grow. For me to grow, I can't grow and then have all these feelings that I've been suppressing.
Yes. And that's why I want to say I celebrate your vulnerability so much and checking in with yourself, because it really humanizes you. When you hustle for so long, you're like operating like a machine.
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily check in, you don't necessarily slow down, you don't necessarily like operate in feelings, you operate in logic,
Right.
and this shit gotta get done.
Right.
And so when you take a beat, when you take 90 days to like slow down, or when you take time every morning to like check in with yourself, or take a period of your life to say, what are the things that are not working for me? What are the things that are tearing me down or are not adding value really? What are the thoughts that are not adding value to my progress? Those are that's vulnerability, and those are the things that really help you elevate as a person, I feel, and then therefore a business owner, an entrepreneur, a creative, like all of these things add to our art.
Right. And it all comes from like where you are, what you're feeling, how you're reacting to things. That's the big thing.
Absolutely.
How you're reacting.
Okay. Yes. And that's like what we were talking about before, that radical acceptance of slowing down and saying, okay, what do I not have control of and what do I have control of? And when we slow down and think about that, then we don't operate and react, right? We don't operate out of emotion. We operate out of like, okay, this is what I can do for myself. This is what I can do within this situation. And, you know, everything else is going to fall in place the way it should.
And outwardly, you know, as I've been only practicing this recently, very recently, but it does seem to come off, or I've gotten feedback that because I haven't been transparent about where I actually am. So now I'm switching things up. And, you know, I'm not working by myself. I'm working with a team. So outwardly, it looks like I don't give a shit because I'm not reacting. Where normally I would, you know, I'm losing sleep, and you know, I can't think. I can't interact with Frankie. I can't, you know, it's very hard for me to interact with friends or anything, you know, because I'm focused on controlling these outcomes, scenarios after scenario on how to get back to this place, or how to get this, or how to line these things up, this impossible mission that I give myself daily sometimes. And so now I've released myself of that responsibility, and now it's more of practicing the acceptance. But it's still not enough. So though I feel better, I'm here, it's still like, what else? What else do I need to do to cope with this? What else do I need to do to move on? Not me, we.
Yes, all of us, because I feel like especially, and I have several clients that are either entrepreneurs or creatives, artists, or 9-to-5ers with side hustles. And a lot of the times we don't see them really communicating their needs to the people in their tribe. And that's where we see them kind of like shutting down or going in their head, like, okay, what am I going to do next, or whatever it may be. And I often feel that and see benefits in when you communicate your needs to other people. This is when people in your tribe are able to really support you in the way, like being really specific about what your needs are, what your capabilities are, how you're really able to show up in relationships right now, or whatever it may be, being very realistic about those things. And you'll see that people are really able to support you, really able to come through when you're really specific about your needs. But that takes kind of observing and exploring, what are my needs? What do I need right now? What would be helpful? What does support look like? I often, like, whenever I get a new client, like our first thing is a rising routine, is what I call it. Every morning, what do you do? How are you releasing the things that you're carrying with you every single day that are weighing you down? How are you really reflecting on and being really intentional about the like new skills that you want to implement and the tools, and staying on track with those things? So it's not just 90 days, but this is like how I'm adding to my lifestyle and the version of who I am in this chapter of my life, or even preparing for the next chapter of my life.
What about the people, because this is a big one, and for Frankie sitting here, this is for her to pay attention, and then the people who are loved ones to people who are entrepreneurs or who are starting out something or trying to do something new or do something different. how do, or what are some tools that Frankie could use to support, the people in your life who are artists or entrepreneurs or high, they're in high stress environments, even in their work, that aren't entrepreneurs, are just in high stress environments. How do we support those people that are close to us who may struggle? What does that look like in just basics?
Yeah, so of course I'm gonna just go back and say, like, the professional, the entrepreneur, the creative needs to be really specific about what their needs are, so that we who are supporting you all can like step in that very specific way. And also I think on both ends as well is operating in empathy. A lot of times we want the people who are supporting us to understand, but we really can't understand an experience that we're not having. At the very base of it, like, we can be empathetic. And so as we just kind of try and put our feet in somebody else's shoes, like, what are they going through? What do I see that they might need right now? And fill in. And for me personally, because I've been in relationships with people who are entrepreneurs where maybe I didn't have my own thing going at that time, or maybe I had more free time than the creative had. And so I've kind of been on multiple sides of the spectrum. For me, it was really finding something of my own to pour into. And that allowed me the ability to understand a little more and be more empathetic and be more supportive in that way. Because when you don't really have anything that you're pouring into creating from scratch, or creating just for yourself, or even a skill that you're trying to develop, you're not really ever going to understand what that looks like, how it keeps you up at night, how, it's just all in your brain, how you may not have the emotional availability, how it looks like you're shutting down, but you're really just ruminating over, business plans or, the next thing. So,
or things that happen that you can't control.
Absolutely.
And you take it on into, your evening, take it home, and then now I can't give Frankie the attention she needs. She's talking and I can't hear it because she's talking and I'm like, and she knows when she's like, "Are you listening?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not."
And I think really finding those moments where you're able to explore, like, and I think this is, a lot of times for maybe a peer relationship or like an older family member. But I think even Frankie, like, just finding out how you operate, when are the times that are best to tap in with you. And I think scheduling time is really important. I'm a big scheduler. So for me, what I found is like really setting time aside. And although when you're in business, things come up and you can't always necessarily control your schedule, really just being very intentional about prioritizing those relationships that are important to you. Even if there's spurts of time, or even if it's, 30 minutes a day of, phone down everything, just really finding opportunities and being intentional about holding space. I think that's for each end, because the entrepreneur may be really busy, the creative may be really busy. So when they have 30 minutes, and I actually just learned this from a friend of mine who was talking, like, when they have 30 minutes, I'm going to capitalize off that. I'm going to take that, even if, it's 10 o'clock, or, even if it's just being empathetic and being flexible with the people that you're in relationships with.
Now for let's say an intimate relationship or even a friendship, that's reasonable. But even as you were describing it, and I often feel frustrated with Frankie because I'm like, how stressful what I'm going through. You're going to bring this to me right now. But this is my daughter. She's 16 years old. And, I sometimes find myself, not on purpose, because I want to give her everything I have. And then I'm doing everything, in my mind for her, for us. But at the end of the day, the things that she wants is like that uninterrupted time. So as you were even explaining that, I'm like, is that fair to be like, okay, Frankie, you got 30 minutes, you know.
No, I don't think it's putting somebody on a schedule,
Yeah.
but operating like, you know, whenever we can connect or whenever I don't necessarily have anything, I'm going to give this time, right? It might be 30 minutes now and maybe you'll catch me for an hour later too, but it's whenever there's not anything that I necessarily have to do and there's things that, you know, I can put aside for this, I'm going to give you that. So I think it's a challenge for you.
The challenge is mine. To be able to shut it off. First of all, it's not hers, it's mine. To be able to shut that off, because if that's the case, you know, like she's gone her whole life, you know, with me living this life, and even as a baby, you know, she had to like learn how to prop that bottle up, and like she was right there with me, but you on your own, girl. Like, you know, got her cage so she won't hurt herself, but you got to do this. I'm right here. But
and then the flexibility and empathy on her side to receive that and not understand, but be empathetic that this is the time that you have. We're gonna operate in the spaces that we have available because we can't change this situation right now. This is the hustle.
This is it, right? And then there's the like, I'm here, because I used to always say, some of your friends, their parents are at work. You don't even see them. But as I'm like getting older now, I'm trying to like really dive into what's going on. You know, it's like, and then I'm experiencing relationships with entrepreneurs myself, and you know, I'm like, wait a minute, turn that shit off. Like when we're doing this, I'm big on when we are like skating or enjoying, or I'm creating art. This is my time, so I know how to enjoy. So it hasn't been that, but it's prioritizing as I'm talking about it, and it's also saying like, she shouldn't have to make these sacrifices, and just because you're there doesn't mean you're there. And that has been something that she has had to accept with me. I'm there, but I'm not there.
Yeah, I think it's a big practice of mindfulness, like being in the moment. And that's why I talk about practicing that, whether it's every morning or every evening, if those are the times that you have to practice mindfulness. But it's something that you can also practice throughout the day. It could be, even my Apple Watch does it, like a minute or 5 minutes of just like breathing and just really practicing keeping yourself in this space right now versus all of these other things that are going on. It could be really just like focusing on one item that you're doing, like really observing it, or looking at your body in the mirror, like really just observing it and just being one with it. These are different like daily activities that you can do to train your brain to be right here where you are versus anywhere else, or thinking about other things that you have no control over.
On your page, you have a lot of helpful videos and reels, and you've made it really relatable and cute. But there are things like what you can do for those. Like I am big on like enjoying my time. I have so many hobbies or things that make me feel good. So that at the end of the day is what saved me from just giving up, you know, in so many moments. But again, here lately, I've found myself with these challenges, and now I'm trying to figure out like what to do next. Like what's the next step to really tackle this before it turns into something, you know. So I don't think I'm suffering on this level, or I haven't yet suffered, but you know, I could definitely be on the spectrum. If I'm not careful, it could go further. Or if I don't,
I want to say this because that's so important, the dance that you're doing right now, because a lot of times when we talk about mental health, a lot of people automatically, especially Black people, automatically hop into this space as if we're talking about mental illness. And mental health is something that is just about wellness, about being happy, about, you know, being dedicated to personal growth and personal development, and being okay with the things that we're struggling with, being able to manage those things in a healthy way, because we're all struggling in some kind of way, right? But it's not always mental illness, bipolar, you know, deep depression, suicidal thoughts. Like, it's not always that. And so I really want us to be comfortable with talking about mental health without like all these extra disclaimers and like dances that we do. Right,
because that's that anxiety. Here we go with this uncertainty, and you know, now all of a sudden you know, I'm shooting up the room. So yeah, you're right. You're right. Because I was going there, but it feels like that sometimes when you're out of control and you can't control, and you're having these feelings that are new, especially for I'm gonna keep saying my age and my generation of like keeping things to yourself and not telling people your business and shut up and take it, and you can this thing I say I'm built for it and all that, but it's just like, okay, what's happening on the inside?
Yeah. And I think it's important to realize all of these things can kind of be true at the same time, right? Like I don't have to tell everybody my business, and I can reach out for help when needed, right? I can be built for adversity, and I can struggle on a tough day. These things can be true at the same time.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, put that in my pocket. And thank you. And so your pages,
Spreeisms, so Spreeisms on Instagram, SPREEISMS. I talk all things mental health and finding ways to protect your peace. So yeah,
this my real big WCW right here for the women. Not just women in business, but everyone who is going through this and struggling this. And as this being Mental Health Awareness Month, I didn't know until recently, and so that's a thing. So I guess this is definitely all
perfect.
relative.
It's all in alignment.
It is as things tend to be.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.